This is Daniel Bryan, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
This is Aaron Schick, and you listen to the Wrestling Uncensored.
Aw, yeah. Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. Here on TSN 690 every Saturday night. Talking professional wrestling. WWE Fastlane going down tomorrow night. Montreal's own Kevin Owens challenging for the WWE Championship against Daniel Bryan in the main event. Is it
a main event? I don't know. It's the main event.
Well, we'll try and figure out what the main event will be. If it's not them, maybe it'll be Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. That match is official for Fastlane going down tomorrow night. This show in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland's own The Miz and his partner Shane McMahon will be challenging the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Revival defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Aleister Black, Ricochet, Chad Gable, and Bobby Roode in a triple threat tag team match, which that's pretty cool. The Shield reuniting Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, taking on Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. That's right, the big dog is back. Roman Reigns, in his first match back from beating leukemia, will be wrestling here, reuniting with his brothers in the Shield. I could see that being the main event.
Well, like you just said, it's Roman's first match back. Why not? Makes sense.
Maybe it should be. Asuka defending the SmackDown Women's title against Mandy Rose. The Boss and Hug Connection, Bayley and Sasha Banks, in their first defense of the Women's Tag Team Championship, defending against Nia Jax and Tamina. And on the pre-show, we've got the New Day against Nakamura and Rusev. New Day probably represented by Big E and Woods. Kofi's off doing his singles thing, even though he's not booked on this show. And Rey Mysterio takes on Andrade in the other pre-show match. 9 matches on this Fastlane card tomorrow night.
Not a bad card overall. It's just, it feels like these matches could happen on Raw or SmackDown. It's not really, I really got to see this. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, just because Kevin Owens came back, it feels kind of special. And because of what happened with Becky and Charlotte, it's kind of special. But everything else just feels like this could be Raw or SmackDown.
I don't know. Roman Reigns' first match back is a pretty big deal.
It's a 6-man tag, though. I never get excited for these Shield 6-man tags.
Yeah. I'm not super hyped for the match, but I am happy to see Roman back wrestling. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the ring. You know, I haven't been the biggest Roman fan, but again, what this guy went through, I got tremendous respect for him, and I'm just happy to see the guy, you know, Joe Anoa'i, in the ring and doing his thing. I'm happy for him.
So it's fair to say Shield's going to win this match?
You would think so.
You would think, but I'm starting to think maybe the Shield coming together is just for them to fall apart again, because Roman Reigns still doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. This is a perfect opportunity for Ambrose to turn on them and to set up Ambrose Reigns for WrestleMania.
Yeah, it is.
Not the match I really want to see, but I could see them doing it. Look at the other options. It's probably the best option, unfortunately.
They took up a lot of Monday Night Raw building this thing, the match, this week. And Raw started with Roman Reigns with a promo. And he said that there's only one man that's standing in his way between him and what he wants. So you thought, are we going to see a triple threat here at WrestleMania? He calls out Seth Rollins. Seth, of course, is facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. Seth winning the Royal Rumble. Seth shows up and says he understands that Roman may want the shot and they should talk about it. But then Roman stops him and says, no, I just want to wish you luck. I know you can beat Brock. I want to put the Shield back together. And he needs Dean Ambrose to agree to it. Seth isn't into it. Seth is like, I don't know. on the night that you announced you had leukemia and you left, Dean Ambrose attacked me, turned on me. I don't know if we can really trust him. I don't know if we should get the team back together. And Roman's like, no, he's a good guy. He's just confused. Let's bring him back. So then Seth is like, okay. Dean Ambrose shows up on the stage. He's got a microphone, and you think they're going to do the reuniting there. But then Elias shows up, hits him with a guitar. Ambrose gets up, and Seth and Roman are there kind of checking on him after he got hit with the guitar, but he walks away from them, and he wants no part of them. Later in the night, both Seth and Roman make their pitch to Dean to try and get the team back together. Eventually, what happens is Elias has a match with Dean Ambrose that Elias won, by the way.
Not surprising.
He won clean, too, didn't he?
Ambrose is leaving. He should be jobbing most of the matches.
Jobbing to everybody.
Why not?
So Seth and Roman were there after the match, but Dean is still not into it. He doesn't want to be friends with them. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin all show up, and they start beating up on Seth and Roman. And Ambrose is in the crowd. He left through the crowd. He decides to come back and help his friends. The Shield's back together. So Ambrose had a change of heart for some reason.
Okay, fine. I mean, we've seen this before. It's nothing really exciting, but I guess everyone gets their moment. They get to see the Shield one last time. That's kind of how they're hyping it, I guess. Okay, fine, but I'm never really interested in these Shield six-man tags. They're rarely ever that good, in my opinion. This is just cool because Roman's coming back. It's his first time you get to see him. I think he's going to keep it pretty simple. Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Is it the last time we will ever see them together on a pay-per-view?
I think so. Pay-per-view, yeah, for sure. If Ambrose is leaving, for sure, yeah, this is it. I mean, maybe we'll see them the next night on Raw because they love doing the rematches. I mean, how many times did we see the Shield against, Strowman and Ziggler and McIntyre? That was a pay-per-view and then Raw for, the next 2 weeks. So they could easily drag this if they want because there's so many weeks before WrestleMania and Brock's not going to be around. So, yeah, they need something to kill time.
I don't know. I guess Ambrose and Roman would make sense for WrestleMania, but I'm not fully buying the Dean Ambrose is leaving storyline.
Because they announced it, so you don't believe it.
Well, yeah. And he's jobbing. He's doing all the things that they would expect us to expect to happen. Right? He's losing these matches, and they're saying one last time for the Shield, let's just do it. And they're saying Ambrose is leaving, and they're announcing it basically on their TV. They haven't quite said it on TV, but they said it on the website.
Renee talked about it, actually.
Did she?
She said he's going to greener pastures. And I'm like, whoa, he's dying or something? This is your husband there, you just said. I didn't understand that line. But
maybe he's retiring from wrestling.
He's taking a break, right? That's the whole thing. I mean, some people will speculate he's going to AEW, but speculation, that's all it is right now.
And I think that him leaving is speculation as well.
Or you think it's just a storyline? It's not even speculation.
I think it's possibly turned into a storyline. I think that maybe he was leaving and he signed a new contract. Maybe they announced that he was leaving. They said, okay, and then they came to a deal, and now he's staying. I'm not sure that he's leaving. Because they are featuring him quite a bit. He is on Raw every single week in matches. He's in this high-profile storyline. They're still using him quite a bit. Now, you could say, oh, yeah, but he's losing these matches. Yeah, but he's still standing tall with the Shield at the end of the segment. So, for a guy that's supposedly leaving, they're still giving a lot of shine to and making him look pretty good on TV. Giving him promo time, giving him TV time, giving him match time. He's doing a lot of stuff on Raw every week. They're using him. Now you could say, okay, well, he's Dean Ambrose, so of course you're going to use him. But if he's leaving in a month, you could just disappear him and use somebody else that is actually going to be on TV, that's sticking around with your company. So I'm skeptical. I mean, Dean Ambrose is supposedly leaving, but we're seeing him more than the Universal Champion who's got a match in like 3 weeks at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is like 3-4 weeks away at this point.
I'm sure Brock Lesnar has no problem not being on Raw and still being the champion. I don't think he minds that at all. I think they need Dean Ambrose to finish this Roman Reigns storyline because it never really got finished where Dean turned on the Shield. He only really turned on Seth. He never really attacked Roman. He said some bad things about Roman, but everything's been forgiven. But you never really got to see them go one-on-one with each other. They did go one-on-one a couple of years ago, I think, for the WWE Championship because it was a tournament, I think a Survivor Series.
Right.
But it was never really a grudge match. And now you finally have the opportunity to finally do it and put an end to the Shield once and for all, possibly at WrestleMania. I mean, you can't do that if Dean Ambrose is just on main event wrestling nobody.
Okay. So it's a big storyline leading to Roman taking Dean out of the WWE.
Yeah, sure. That's good, I think. It gives Roman something to do, right? He's supposed to be the big dog. What's his big WrestleMania match? It's got to be this.
They should make it a storyline, though. Like, they should add a stipulation to this match. Loser leaves town. Hair versus career. You know, something like that. If Dean is really leaving and Roman is going to take him out, why not make it something to add to the match at WrestleMania? You know? Makes it more fun. Even if you know, okay, well, it's like career versus career. Obviously, Dean is going to leave, but it's still interesting.
You could add that. I don't think you really need to because people are more in the know now. So, and WWE already announced it.
Yeah.
You don't really need to do it. I mean, do it if you want to do it. If you think that adds something to it, I don't think it does. I think you just need the match. Give Roman his moment. Give Ambrose one last moment. And, yeah, sure, if Ambrose stays, fine. I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. I think it'd be better for Ambrose to leave because if he needs a break, if he's really tired out, you know, it's better actually to leave WWE. You see people come back, and they're better than ever usually when they take a break. Chris Jericho, so many times.
Yeah. He's really the only example, though. Who else has taken breaks?
Well, you could say Christian when he went to TNA.
That's not a break. He kept wrestling.
Break from WWE. Booker T.
Did he take a break?
Well, he went to TNA.
He went to TNA. He kept wrestling. Like, all these guys are saying, nobody takes a break from pro wrestling.
Yeah, but
it doesn't happen. If you take a break, for the most part, it means you're done. Jericho's the only guy that took a break from pro wrestling, but that's because he had a band that he wanted to invest time in. He had another project that he was more interested in.
But
I could see Dolph Ziggler being on a break from pro wrestling right now. Dolph Ziggler wants to make some sort of career out of stand-up comedy. He's trying. He's been trying to do it for a while, but he hasn't been able to dedicate enough time. So now he can stop wrestling. He can dedicate all his time to doing it and see where it takes him. Batista, he took a break from wrestling. He decided to leave. He went, became an actor, and comes back every now and again. He's going to be on Raw this Monday night.
Are you sure about that?
That's what he said.
Supposed to be on Raw this past week too, but we got Instagram video instead.
Well, they're advertising a face-to-face. We'll talk about the Batista Triple H thing. I'll do the Triple H, don't worry.
Fantastic.
But when guys take breaks, they take breaks to pursue other projects. I don't see Dean Ambrose wanting to be an actor or a rock star or a stand-up comedian. Maybe I'm wrong. But I see this guy as a wrestler. if he is leaving WWE, I see this guy going to another wrestling company and continuing his journey as a professional wrestler.
And that's fine if he wants to do that, or if he just doesn't want to wrestle. It's fine. Whatever he wants to do. He has the option, right? He's not signed for WWE after April, right? So do what you want. You're free. Isn't that great? Isn't that fantastic?
He's got to make money at some point.
I'm sure he made a lot of money already, no?
I don't know. Did you see those salaries apparently leaked for the entire women's roster?
I didn't see that.
Ooh. Rough.
Okay.
Some of these people are making $60,000 a year.
I imagine Ronda is not making that.
No, she's making like $1 million.
Only? Wow.
Yeah. According to this list, I don't know if it's real or not.
So Brock makes a lot more than her.
I'll pull it up later for you if you want.
But Ronda, I imagine, makes the most, right, at $1 million. And then everyone else is under that. So that's kind of disappointing in a sense. You would think they'd be making more, and they should be.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll get it for you in a little bit here, Johnny North. But they're not making tons of money. The women, anyways. They're saying Brock Lesnar is allegedly making 8 times more than WWE's highest paid women's wrestler, which would be Ronda Rousey.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently, some of these people aren't making tons of money.
But we're only talking about their salary, right?
Like the Riot Squad, Mandy Rose, Sarah Logan, Tamina, Liv Morgan, apparently making $80,000 a year. Some of the higher paid women's wrestlers saying Alexa Bliss, Nikki Bella at $350,000 a year. Charlotte Flair at $550,000 a year. But I remember seeing Becky Lynch was making maybe $150,000, $200,000. Not as much as you might expect for, like, considering the schedule and the amount of matches that they have to do. I don't know if these numbers are real. This is just like a leaked thing. WWE doesn't actually release this info.
It was only like the McMahons and Triple H they released their actual figures. That was
right.
It. But with this too, I wonder, are they even considering merchandise, the revenue they get from that as well? Or is that just their salary that they believe they make?
I think it's just the salary.
So they're probably still making more.
Yeah.
Especially Ronda, I imagine.
I would think so. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're making tons compared to the men. I think the men might be making more on average. And that is going to change very soon. Because you think about it for the women, they don't really have another place where they can make big money doing what they do. The men can. Like, the WWE is the biggest stage on earth for women's wrestling. And there's no other place where you can make WWE money right now as a women's wrestler. But as a man, you know, there are options for you, right? Japan. And New Japan doesn't have women's wrestling. There are women's wrestling companies in Japan, and they do well, but it's not WWE money. So that's why I think AEW is going to be such a game changer, because they're focusing a lot on women's wrestling. And if some of these women are unhappy with the money that they're making in WWE, you know, they could be huge stars and taken care of in AEW. So I think things will change for the business, the money side of women's wrestling very soon. I mean, look at the product right now. They are the focus. And when it comes time for contract negotiations, that's going to be a major factor. Becky Lynch is a major star in professional wrestling. If she was a free agent, there would be a bidding war between AEW and WWE to get her.
Well, if she's going to be the main event of WrestleMania, which more than likely she will be, I can't imagine she'd want to sign elsewhere, given that she'll be the first ever one of the first ever women to main event WrestleMania. The fact that she's given that, I think she's going to be in WWE for life.
Well, I don't know about that. Just because you get a spot doesn't mean you're being respected. I'm surprised at this list. Like, if Ronda's really only making $1 million, it's ridiculous. And Brock's making 8? How is that fair?
I'm not surprised.
Who's main eventing WrestleMania? Who's on TV? Who's wrestling? Who's doing the work? That's crazy. I hope that's not true. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard. I mean, are you kidding me? How could Brock be making that much compared to Ronda?
If you, given the fact that Brock was pretty much the main event for the last couple of years, I think it makes a lot of sense. This is Ronda's still her first year in WWE. This is like, we'll see if you can even wrestle. Because last year around this time, you didn't even think she could wrestle. So, I mean, yeah, she blew it away, but you already signed the contract. So you have to live with what you have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she signed for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what you get.
I don't know if it's really 3 years.
I think it was 2021.
She seems like she's ready to go now.
Well, I mean, I think other things are coming up in her life that are going to force her out, possibly. But it doesn't mean she's gone from WWE. She just won't be wrestling. Possibly, right? Because these are all just rumors.
Ronda Rousey has been on fire this week. We're going to tell you what she said on Raw and on her YouTube channel when we come back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. We're here on TSN 690. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. WWE Fastlane is tomorrow night. Ronda Rousey, the Raw Women's Champion, is not booked.
Shocking.
Will she be at the show? We'll get to that. Stay with us.
Hello, this is Mick Foley, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
What's going on, y'all? This is WWE superstar Kofi Kingston, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is Trish Stratus, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored. Keep listening. Stratisfaction is guaranteed.
All right, welcome back. It's Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Johnny North at North Genesis on Twitter, on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You could follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe right now. YouTube.com/ringsidereport.net. Tomorrow night, after Fastlane, Johnny and I will be live on YouTube. I promise it will work. We had some technical issues with our UFC show, but Dave and Johnny live yesterday afternoon, John, went flawlessly, right?
For the most part, yes. Almost perfect.
Almost perfect. But technically, we were on the air, live. The video was perfect. The sound was perfect. You could hear and see us. Our effects were working, right?
Apparently there was 2 videos, but yeah.
That got fixed. We know why that happened.
So we should be good. We should be good.
Well, 2. Who cares if there's 2 That's more options for you to choose from. You'll be able to watch us no matter what tomorrow night after Fastlane. YouTube.com/ringsidereport.net with the .net spelled out DOTNET. More info on our website, WrestlingUncensored.net.
Excited for this Fastlane. I mean, the last pay-per-view for WrestleMania, not exactly the greatest card, but some matches I'm looking forward to. I mean, WWE Championship match, to me, that's WrestleMania right there.
It's an incredible match. Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan. WrestleMania is 4 weeks away. 4 more weeks of TV after this before we hit WrestleMania. You know what that means? 4 more weeks of TV, or I guess 5 more weeks of TV until WWE's here in Montreal.
Quite fantastic, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Can't wait.
So 4 more weeks of TV until Mania, and Daniel Bryan here defending the WWE title against Kevin Owens. I think it's going to be a great match. I can't say I'm very excited about it because I kind of expect Daniel Bryan to win. I don't really feel that Kevin Owens has a chance. And when I go into a match, I want to believe that either man could win. I want to think it could go either way here. It's more fun that way. But here, you figure, you're 4 weeks away from Mania. Daniel Bryan's been the champion. He's on this great run. Kevin Owens just came in out of nowhere, took Kofi Kingston's spot for some reason. And now Kofi's kind of on the outside looking in. Everybody expects Kofi to find a way to get the shot at WrestleMania. Right? So, to me, Kevin Owens is just like a placeholder in this match, waiting for Kofi, waiting for Mania. The match will be incredible because Kevin Owens is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And hey, maybe he beats Daniel Bryan. He's back. It's been a long time. He's a babyface. He's got a stunner now. They're trying to get that finish over. Maybe he hits a stunner, pins Daniel Bryan, and we have a triple threat match, Kofi, Bryan, and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. I wouldn't be mad at that. That'd be a pretty awesome match. We're already getting Ronda, Becky, Charlotte as a triple threat, probably at WrestleMania, but I don't know. Why not?
I'd love to see that happen. Kevin is WWE champion going to WrestleMania. That's ideal. It feels the story isn't going that direction. It feels like Kofi's going to show up somehow, some way, and get a match. And now Mustafa Ali showed up. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of shenanigans at Fastlane. Kevin might win the match, but doesn't mean he'll win the title. So maybe it'll still be a triple threat. But it feels like this is supposed to be Kofi's moment at WrestleMania. And I feel like Kevin's going to do something else, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that as great as Kevin Owens is, this isn't really his time. Like, Kofi's been here, and I think they brought him back too soon. I would have waited until after WrestleMania, because right now, what are you going to do? Unless it's Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. That would be sweet. Like, I'd be happy with that. That's very possible. Like, Kevin Owens, the babyface, Samoa Joe just won the U.S. title. What other babyface could really go up against Joe at WrestleMania? From SmackDown, right?
I like where you're going with this.
That match, I mean, come on. They must have wrestled at some point, right?
There was something going on in NXT, remember? But Kevin left NXT before they actually really had anything. I think they had like a no contest in NXT, but that was it. Because
they've had similar paths in the wrestling business. They both were in Ring of Honor, but at different times. I don't know if they ever crossed over. And they've both been in a lot of different promotions around the world, little indies here and there. Maybe somebody booked them in a match somewhere. I don't know, though. I can't recall seeing Kevin Owens versus Samoa Joe. I'd be surprised if it has never happened.
Oh, it's happened in Montreal on an indie show. So.
Oh, there you go. So it's happened.
Yeah.
In Montreal.
In Montreal, yeah.
Do I have that on DVD, maybe?
Possibly.
Was CM Punk on that show, too?
I think that was the year prior.
Okay.
Or the year later. I can't remember exactly. I think because he wrestled them singles, and then there was a four-way, I think, with Kevin and Joe. So maybe you saw the four-way, possibly.
Maybe I saw, was it PCO versus Joe?
PCO versus CM Punk, I think you saw.
Yes, that's what I saw.
Right.
Pretty awesome.
I imagine.
Yeah. But Joe versus Kevin Owens in the WWE at WrestleMania for the U.S. title, solid match right there. I'd be into that if that's the path that Kevin Owens is headed towards. And I could see that. I could see it being Bryan and Kofi at Mania, Kevin and Joe, and then a multi-tag team match for the SmackDown titles, because Shane and Miz here are challenging the Usos. I don't see them winning. I think the Usos are going to retain. And then it'll be like the Bar, maybe Rusev and Nakamura, Big E and Woods in a big, fatal four-way match for the SmackDown tag titles. Maybe Shane and Miz will be in on that too.
Well, I throw in the Hardys instead, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Hardys. There you go.
Right. But with Joe, like, as great as that match with Kevin would be, I feel him defending the U.S. title against John Cena, it just fits better, in my opinion. Because the whole thing with R-Truth, how John Cena was his hero, and then Joe took it away from him, and now Joe doesn't care about John Cena or anyone else. I think it just fits so well for John Cena to come in because he doesn't have a match yet for WrestleMania. I feel like with Kevin, something's going to happen in the Daniel Bryan match where Kevin will get a path to WrestleMania.
Do you think Bray Wyatt maybe shows up and attacks Kevin Owens for no reason in particular?
That's an idea. It's not what I want to see, but it's an idea.
Maybe Bray Wyatt got a call from his old pal Rowan to give him a hand?
Possibly.
Luke Harper?
Well, Luke Harper versus Kevin's not really a great thing, but Bray Wyatt, sure.
Is that a great thing? I'd rather see Harper, really. I think the match will be better.
Kevin wants that match, so I think he can make it good.
Okay. So we don't see Kevin Owens or Daniel Bryan, or Kevin Owens beating Daniel Bryan, right?
I hope it's the main event because I feel it's going to be the best match possibly on the show, so it should be the last match.
Where's AJ?
He did that promo on SmackDown, remember? All he does is talk now.
So he's not wrestling on this card?
Him and Randy, it's WrestleMania.
Yeah. I agree. I think AJ Styles, Randy Orton one-on-one at WrestleMania is pretty much set in stone. Randy said something to AJ there on SmackDown. Something's going on there.
It took him 15 years to get here or something. Like, I'm not surprised or something. Like,
whatever. You don't think Miz and Shane are going to take the titles back from the Usos, do you?
Well, Miz's dad is going to be front row, right? So I think Miz is going to lose again, and he's going to see his dad be all upset, and I think he's going to take out Shane, and Miz and Shane are going to wrestle at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Usos did a little promo about their title defense at Fastlane on SmackDown this week. And then Miz and Shane showed up, and Miz beat Jey Uso after a little distraction from Shane when he hit a clothesline on Jimmy Uso. I like the promo that Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens did at the start of SmackDown this week. Just excellent stuff.
I thought it was good. It's just sad that, we only got 1 week of this. Like, it would have been great if we got like 2 or 3 weeks of this. It was just one. It was like, I want more, but it's like, we get the match already. It's too bad.
Yeah, it really feels like it's come too soon, you know? It's just like, what? Why is this happening now? It's because, they want to build the Kofi match. Because they weren't sure what to do with Daniel Bryan for WrestleMania, and then they decided, maybe a couple weeks ago, okay, we're going to put Kofi Kingston in there. And they said, well, we already booked Kofi for Fastlane. So they said, okay, well, let's just bring Kevin Owens back, and he'll wrestle Bryan at Fastlane, and then Kofi will get the shot at Mania. Well, it's like, okay, but meanwhile, Kevin Owens' return is like just slapped together with no real purpose behind it. Does he even have a new shirt? He's a babyface coming in. He doesn't even have a new shirt. He's kind of booked as a babyface, but Vince brought him in and everybody got mad because he took Kofi's spot. Like, his whole return has been kind of sad, It's not been working.
But in the end, it's for the best because it gives him a WrestleMania moment. It gives him a WrestleMania match. So I think it's better to bring him back now than him missing WrestleMania.
Okay. What if it doesn't? What if Bray Wyatt doesn't show up during the match? What if Kevin Owens just loses clean to Daniel Bryan, or Rowan interferes and Kevin Owens loses? And then you're right. Joe doesn't wrestle Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. John Cena does. What does Kevin Owens do at WrestleMania? Oh, well, he's in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Did he win? No. He definitely didn't win. Who won this year? Oh, it was, I don't know, some guy from the NFL. I don't know, some guy.
You know, it'd be cool if The Undertaker won it.
Undertaker won.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
if the Undertaker
sure.
wins.
But, like, what about Kevin Owens? This is WrestleMania. This is the biggest time of the year. He got brought back here. He's got a WWE title match. But if done incorrectly, this could be terrible for Kevin Owens.
Well, I think it's better that he's on WrestleMania than not. I mean, even a Battle Royal, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but he'll still hype it as the biggest thing ever. Kevin's a great hype guy.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Plus, he always brings out the new KO Mania shirt, so He will get a new shirt.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. All right. Elsewhere on this Fastlane card, we've got Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Now, this match was made on Raw this week. Things got a little crazy on Raw this week. Stephanie McMahon says Becky's suspension is lifted, and Becky will be on Raw tonight to sign a contract that says she's not responsible for what happens to her because she's still injured, right? So WWE is not responsible for Becky's health. Becky's walking around on a crutch. She's got a banged up knee. Stephanie says Becky will face Charlotte Flair for the vacant Raw Women's title at Fastlane because Ronda last week gave up the title because she's not getting her way and she wants to wrestle Becky Lynch. She wants to get her hands on Becky, right?
Well, she dropped the title. She didn't say she vacated.
Well, that's it. She dropped the title, but Stephanie took it as she was vacating the title. Right?
Right.
So, for some reason, Stephanie puts Charlotte and Becky in a match for the Raw Women's title, even though they're both SmackDown wrestlers. So, then we have Stephanie in the ring at the end of the show. Charlotte Flair shows up. Becky Lynch is there. Stephanie says they need a champion. They're going to face each other at Fastlane. Stephanie says Becky has to sign the hold harmless agreement in case she gets hurt, so she can't sue WWE. And Becky and Charlotte sign the contract. Ronda Rousey shows up and she's like, no, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted you to include Becky, not exclude me. I want my title back. So Stephanie's like, all right, here's your title back, Ronda. And Stephanie says, well, okay, we still have to have a match at Fastlane, though. So if Becky wins at Fastlane, it'll be a triple threat at WrestleMania. But if she loses, well, she's done. Whatever that means. Like, I don't know what that means. She's like, if Becky Lynch loses, she's done. I guess she's done.
In this story?
In this story? Like, it was really not clear what that meant. Is she fired? I don't know. She's going to win because she has to because that's the match at WrestleMania. So all of this to get to this match that I've been saying was going to happen for months now.
We thought the last pay-per-view even.
So Becky, and it still doesn't really make sense because it's Becky's shot to win. Becky won the Royal Rumble.
Right, but because of the whole thing,
she wasn't supposed to be in the Rumble.
And because she was mean to Stephanie.
They took it away from her.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's Charlotte's shot to win. And if Becky wins, it's a triple threat at WrestleMania, which we've been saying was going to happen for months now on this show. So finally they make this match. Becky versus Charlotte. And we both obviously think Becky's going to win, right? Like
100%.
It's stupid. So then Ronda goes bananas. Ronda's like, I can do whatever I want in the ring because, Stephanie, you value your bank account too much to do anything to me. Ronda gets really mad at the fans. She cuts a killer promo. She's saying the fans in Los Angeles were terrible. They were cheering for Becky when they should have been cheering for me. I'm really from L.A. And Ronda smacks Charlotte and beats up on Becky. And it was a pretty ferocious beating. Like, the first armbar that Ronda threw on Becky was not her normal armbar where she kind of curls the arm and doesn't do damage. She hyperextended Becky's arm. If you could slow it down, you could see Becky's arm turning white.
Yikes.
Right? Like, you could see that Ronda was putting her in really uncomfortable positions. At one point, Ronda knee mounted her, which is a move where you slice your knee across the body, right? You just sit on them. You put all your weight down on the knee. And just the way it's a knee mount, it's a jiu-jitsu thing. I'll show it to you later, John. You're looking at me like, what are you talking about? You know what a knee mount is? When I say knee mount, do you know what I mean?
I don't want you to do it to me.
No, because you'll feel all the weight.
Yeah, I don't want you to do it to me at all.
No, it's painful. And if you know how to do it, it could be really painful. It's not a submission hold or anything. It's just, you're putting your you just put your knee down on somebody's gut, basically, right on their ribs, and you just crush them.
It's more of a capture kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it's a knee mount. It's a position. Anyway, so Ronda knee mounts Becky, and Becky turns the way you would turn if somebody was really throwing that pressure on you. You know, like Ronda's knee mount was real. Like you could tell, oh, Ronda's really doing that stuff to her. Her punches were not as hard as she could have been throwing, but everything looked really good in that beatdown of Becky Lynch. The armbar looked good, and usually the armbar looks kind of weak because she doesn't really throw it on people, but she threw it on her the first time, and then you could see the difference in the first armbar, and then she armbarred Becky a second time, maybe even a third time, but the second and third time were not as severe as the first one. She let Becky feel it the first time, and then she stepped on her face, standing over her, holding the title, staring at Charlotte. Ronda went wild. On the fans, on Becky, on Stephanie, on Charlotte even, daring her to come into the ring. And now, yeah, go ahead.
They're saying this is Ronda turning heel, right? Like, this is her heel turn, pretty much. I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like her turning heel. It's just her coming back, but now it's her new side, I guess.
I like it. Whatever it is, it's interesting. I think it's being condoned by the WWE. You know, I don't know how far away from what they want she is going. You know, I don't know how far off script she's really going, but these latest comments from her YouTube show are pretty good, and we're going to get to that right now. Just like last week, I'm going to have to censor myself because we're reading Ronda's tweets, and they were pretty explicit, filled with some bad language, and we're on TSN 690. We're not even on at midnight right now. It's like 7-something, at night. So
prime time.
Yeah, we're on prime time, so we got to be real careful with our language here, buddy. So this is what Ronda said on her YouTube, Ronda on the Road. They gave me other things to say. She's talking about her promo on Raw. They gave me other things to say. I didn't effing say it. That's the thing. It's not a effing promo. It's not an act. I'm not going out there and doing their effing act anymore. They can say it's part of the act to try and save face to everybody else, but it's not an act. Now, John, that alone is pretty awesome, right?
It gets better.
I'm going out there doing whatever the hell I want, and they can explain the way however they want, but F them. Everybody. WWE Universe included. I meant that. I'm going to disrespect the sport that they all love so much. Oh, don't break kayfabe, Ronda. Wrestling is scripted. It's made up. It's not real. None of those B words can effing touch me. The end. My goodness. Ronda Rousey. Not playing around. Saying a lot of truth. But, it's pro wrestling. And she's cutting a pro wrestling promo while saying that wrestling is scripted. It's weird, man. It's crossing lines. I don't know how to feel about it. Is it real? Is it part of the story? I mean, it's obviously part of the story. When Ronda's saying, oh, I beat up Becky. She didn't beat up Becky without the WWE telling her, okay, you're going to beat up Becky. That's the end of the segment. That's the plan. That was obviously the plan. She's not going off script. Her promos feel real, but I don't know what that means necessarily. I don't know if that means the WWE's saying, say what you want, say how you feel, or they're giving her talking points and she's going off that. I'm not sure how Ronda actually feels about Becky and Charlotte. But knowing Ronda and watching Ronda and seeing the stuff that Becky and Charlotte have said about Ronda, I can't imagine she's taking it too well. When Ronda Rousey lost to Holly Holm, she took a long time. She didn't speak to anybody. She didn't talk to the media, nothing. No press conference. Every UFC fighter, after you lose, they're at the press conference, for the most part. Okay? If not there, fine. Her next fight against Amanda Nunes, she did zero media. She did interviews with other people, and they were told specifically not to ask her about the Holly Holm fight. Okay? This is a fact. Ronda did no press conferences for the Amanda Nunes fight. She didn't want to talk to anybody. She couldn't face the questions about the last fight. This is unusual. Highly unusual. It's actually never been done. No UFC fighter in the history of the sport has ever lost a fight and then in the comeback fight done zero media. But Ronda did that because Ronda couldn't handle the questions. Ronda couldn't handle getting pushed. And that's what I was always wondering, you know. It's all good for Ronda when the fans are cheering her and she's walking out and she's smiling. Remember those days?
The early days.
The early days of Ronda when everybody loved her. But then all of a sudden, people love Becky more. And Ronda became in direct opposition to Becky. And Ronda didn't like that they were choosing Becky over her. Ronda doesn't think that they should, and Ronda's not happy about it. And I think that there is some reality to that, because how could there not be? Ronda hasn't changed. Ronda's still a badass. Ronda's still awesome. But the fans are booing her now and choosing Becky. You can see why she's upset. And I think that she is really mad. I don't think she's pretend mad. I don't think she's that good of an actress. But I think that the WWE is allowing a lot of that stuff to go down. And they're not necessarily mad at all the things that Ronda's saying. Because it's building hype for the match. And that's what you want. Ronda is real. You know that Ronda could beat up not only Becky and Charlotte, but most of the roster, men included. She is a former world champion in MMA. She is a judo bronze medalist in the Olympics. She's a real fighter with real abilities. And pro wrestling, unfortunately, in these days in the WWE, there aren't that many of those types of people. So Ronda is a real character. So when you look at Ronda and you see her in the ring with these other ladies, as tough as they are, they don't have the skills and the abilities and the experience that Ronda does. So in a real fight, they would get throttled. So we're supposed to believe that Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch have a chance in a wrestling match against Ronda. And Ronda is adding to that character. This is just part of the character, the real character that is Ronda. And you can't help but see that reality with Ronda because you know in the back of your mind, no matter how much you may believe in the story or believe in Becky, if Ronda wanted to, she's killing everybody. You know, she's just armbarring everybody's arm off. It's Ronda Rousey. She's good at fighting.
You heard what, or you saw what Misha Tate wrote, right, about Ronda?
Oh, boy. What's Misha saying?
Just that...
Misha want another beating?
No, just that the tweet that Becky did with the hand and, like, Ronda's husband.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, she believes that's what got Ronda, because Ronda apparently has, like, zero sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, then it's real for her when stuff like that happens.
Yes.
So they probably just saw that real rage, and they're like, okay, just be that on TV.
No, Misha's right. It is real. Like when Becky brought Ronda's husband into it, it added another dimension that Ronda wasn't ready for. Ronda will go bananas on you. Ronda will go full Diaz brothers on you. And if you know what that means, good. But yeah, Ronda's legit. We got to get to Triple H. That's right. We got to get to me. Never forget. Okay, I'm going to cut a promo. And I'm going to get emotional. Talking about Ric Flair. How about that promo, brother?
I don't understand, like, why did you say, like, oh, Triple H is mad at me? Like, I didn't understand that part. You tweeted
because
that out.
at the end, he's talking to Dave. It was a joke.
Oh, okay, talking to
He's like, Dave, you didn't get it?
No, because it's Batista. I didn't think you, but it makes sense.
He's saying my name.
Right.
I pretended he wasn't talking to Batista. He was talking to me. It was a joke, John.
Well,
Follow me on Twitter at Dave Simon MMA if you get jokes. Johnny North does not.
You wish for Batista. I get it. Like,
oh, yeah. He's jacked, brother. Triple H talks about not Ric Flair, Richard Flair, the man behind Ric Flair. I was with Rick when he buried his son. I was with him when he was in his coma. And I was scared to answer my phone during those times because I thought it was the phone call that was going to tell me he was dead. Which, like, he's really milking Ric Flair's personal tragedy for this match with Batista. I was watching that pretty uncomfortable. Like, man, you're talking about his son dying. You're talking about his real health scare where he almost died, where you thought he was going to die. And I get that you love him and all, but, like, and you're getting choked up and it is real emotion, but you booked this storyline, dude. Because then he goes on to be like, oh, Ric Flair, I loved him, and I wanted to bring him out for his 70th birthday so that he could do what he loves the most, which is stand in the ring with the people. But Batista stopped that bastard. Batista quit because the fans didn't like him. They didn't give him the response that he wanted. Batista's a piece of garbage. So then he just turns it on Batista. He's like,
right.
He's like, milking Flair's personal, real tragedies, crying, and then saying, I wanted to give him this moment, but you stopped me, Batista, because you beat him up backstage in the story that was started for our match at WrestleMania because I'm too selfish to give it up. Because I think I'm still a draw when I'm 50 years old. I mean, come on, man. I felt bad for Flair and his family. I was like, I mean, maybe they are fine with it.
I'm sure he is.
But, like, it just felt in poor taste to use that to enhance your storyline with Batista.
If Flair has no problem with it, I don't see a problem with it. It makes Flair important again. I think Flair loves it.
Maybe Flair will be at Mania and he'll help Triple H win. I think that's kind of what we're building towards. I think you're going to need Flair and Shawn and Steamboat and whoever Randy in that match to make it worth watching. Because Triple H and Batista one-on-one with nobody around, just them in a ring having a match in 2019 is not what you want to see.
I think they've realized this for years. It's like Triple H Batista, like, how are we going to sell this? This isn't going to be that good. But with this story, the way they presented it, I think it's kind of interesting now.
I don't think you needed Ric Flair. I think the stuff that Triple H was saying about Batista was enough. How Batista never got the response he wanted, so he packed up his bag and he went home and he his promo was bad. He was making fun of Batista's promo, saying, you went bad guy 101 on me. I'm not there because I don't like Philly. Boo, what a terrible promo, Dave. If you want my attention, you've got it. WrestleMania.
You got to make it personal. And they did.
But it was personal. But the way it's personal paints Triple H as the bad guy. Batista wanted to do a movie. They gave Triple H the movie instead. Batista got mad. He quit.
Right? Okay.
Batista went off, became a huge movie star. Who was wrong? WWE or Batista? WWE, because Batista should have been in the movie, because Batista's good at movies, okay? Batista comes back. Doesn't get the response he wants. People chant Blue Tista on him. People were merciless to Batista.
Won the Rumble.
He did win the Rumble, but people were not happy about it. People were supposed to be happy about it. Remember? It was supposed to be Batista versus Randy one-on-one. And Batista was supposed to be the babyface at WrestleMania 30. And everybody was like, what? Daniel Bryan is clearly the guy we want. And then Daniel Bryan became the guy. And Batista got mad that Daniel Bryan was the guy. And Batista went home. There's Triple H's meat of the storyline. That's the story, Triple H. That's what you shove in Batista's face. People like Daniel Bryan more than you. You got mad and you left. People made fun of your blue trunks. You got mad and you left. You're a big baby, Batista. You don't deserve to be in the wrestling business. Let me do this for Triple H. You're a big baby. You pack your bag and go home every time somebody doesn't give you a bottle and a nap. Batista, you could never hack it in this business. That's why you went to Hollywood, so you could spend 12 hours in a trailer and rest your stack of dimes neck. I bust my ass. I am this business. And at WrestleMania, you're gonna taste the pedigree. And you suck, and your movies suck, and you have no more film career, and that's why you're back in wrestling, and you'll never be as good as Dwayne. You suck. That's what you say to Batista, Triple H. You're welcome. Johnny North, when's your next match? Where can people see you in the ring?
It's going to be March 24th, 4325 Industrial Boulevard. Defending the British Commonwealth Championship against Sheldon Jean. Bell time is 2 p.m.
Very quickly, Johnny North, we forgot a couple matches for Fastlane. Asuka, Mandy Rose, your prediction? Asuka retains?
Yep.
Asuka retains. Revival, Aleister Black, Ricochet, Gable, and Bobby Roode. I think Black and Ricochet are going to become the new Raw Tag Team Champions.
I think the Revival is going to retain, not on Black and Ricochet, but on Gable and Roode. Look at the pin.
Boston Hug against Nia and Tamina. I got Boston Hug retaining.
I hope so. I'm worried, but I hope they win.
Rey and Andrade. I've got Andrade going over.
I'll go with Rey.
Shinsuke and Nakamura and Rusev taking on Big E and Woods. I'll go with Big E and Woods. I think they win the tag team titles at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think New Day would win this one as well.
New Day! Follow Johnny North on Twitter at North Genesis. Follow him on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. Johnny and I will be live right after Fastlane on our YouTube channel. Tomorrow night after Fastlane, go to YouTube, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport, DOTNET, right after Fastlane. We'll be live with you, taking your questions and getting ready for WrestleMania. For Johnny North, I'm Dave Simon. Thank you for listening. Thanks to Jimmy and Marco for helping us out. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah.
Yeah.